What makes full-time travel affordable, and could you do it?
You know, a lot of people look at travel, and when they see that you travel full time, they think, oh my gosh, how could you afford to do that?
Right.
Now, you're comparing it a lot of the time to maybe that vacation you took that was 2 weeks long and cost you an astronomical amount of money.
Right.
But the beauty of full-time travel is there is a lot of things that you can do to make it affordable, and honestly more affordable than what you probably spend on your monthly budget at home.
Right. You don't need to win the lottery. Did you guys win the lottery or something? Did you guys get an inheritance?
We're still waiting.
No,
we're waiting
we'd love
for like
to.
that trust
We'd
fund
love
or
to.
something.
We gotta buy a ticket first, though.
Now, the first area is you want to make sure that you are traveling to budget-friendly destinations. Now, when we say budget, we don't mean boring. It doesn't mean that there's nothing great there, but you do have to be mindful of your budget.
Yeah, think outside the box a little bit. We really enjoy the Balkans. We think that's a great destination. Romania, Serbia, Croatia, they're all beautiful countries to go to. Albania, Montenegro, I could keep going. Those are places that you can go for an affordable cost.
Well, and I think that often when you are looking at a place to go and travel, especially on vacation, those areas that you just listed are not areas that are probably reaching or even on your radar of places to go. But when you're traveling full time, the world's kind of your oyster and you can go wherever. So keep those, keep your eyes open to all of those other options of places, because by fitting in those budget locations, you really keep that budget way down, and that's what keeps us on the road.
Right, and another thing you want to keep in mind is don't go during the touristy summer seasons. Try and hit those shoulder seasons or even the off season. Now the problem with the off season is things might be shut down entirely, but those shoulder seasons are key to saving a dime and having everything available.
Well, and that's another benefit of traveling full time. You get to totally skirt around those busy seasons and go to another, say, part of the world where it isn't their on season. It's not those high peak seasons. So you can always seem to find the shoulder season somewhere.
Everybody wants the sunshine in the summertime. Where we're from, if we leave in the summertime, that's the best time of year to be home. So for us, it would be better to hit those shoulder seasons. Now, obviously, we travel full-time now anyway, so we do go home in the summertime to have that sunny, beautiful Pacific Northwest summer. It's our favorite time of year. But the other times, we're hitting those shoulders.
The next area that really can make a huge difference is making sure that you're living more of a minimalist lifestyle. Once again, this doesn't have to be boring. You're just really cutting back on all of those things that you don't necessarily need anymore. You're not going to need a car, insurance, a house payment, that storage locker.
Gasoline, everything else that you have to have while you're home. Your cell service is going to cost a lot more in the States or the UK. When you're doing some of this slow travel the way we do, we're spending about $15 a month for a SIM card or her eSIM. I spend less than that half the time because I don't even bother with the SIM card anymore. I'm not even getting it at all. I just use Wi-Fi. So things like that, you can save money on. If I was back home, I'd have to have a cell plan.
Right, and then the other thing that we save a lot of money on is not having all those memberships that we used to have as well. You don't have a gym membership, you don't have all the different memberships to say. We still keep our Netflix, and that's kind of the only one that we keep.
Right.
But I used to have the Amazon Prime, I had Hulu and all the different platforms, and then the music platforms, and those things really add up, and when you can cut those all out, boy, it really just makes your budget and what's available to you a lot easier to deal with.
Yeah, now we have a couple others that we use that you won't have to, that we need for YouTube, but those are still minimal, and we're secure in paying those monthly payments for some of those. And that brings us to what we're doing, and that's working remotely. There are a lot of different things you can do to have some source of income. May not be a lot, but it's something to get you by. There's a lot of remote work to be done.
There is. You could do what we're doing, we vlog. You could start a blog instead if you would just like to write and keep track of all of your travels and what you're doing. And, by doing that, you can make a little money off of that as well. And then there's also teaching online.
We know people that do that. They do teaching as a first language. You can do that as well. And we know people that do it, so we know it can be done.
Right, so a lot of options to kind of just bring in a little bit of extra money, which might just be that little bit of extra, not only to maybe fill some of your time, but to keep you on the road and traveling. You may also want to consider taking that slow travel approach. By doing this, this is one way that we are able to keep traveling. If we did not do the slow travel, I don't think that we would still be on the road traveling. It is just a way that you really save a lot of money.
Yeah. There are times I get antsy and I want to go. And Carrie here reminds me that plane ticket or that train ticket or whatever have you is going to cost us an extra X amount of dollars just that month if we decide to do that. So let's just stay put for now, and next month go to that next destination. Because if we hop around every other week, the costs add up. And remember, those costs add up over the course of a year, not just a month.
Right. Yeah, there's just so many benefits to the slow travel. So we stay for 30 days or 28 days in one location.
Right.
And with that, you usually get quite a discount, especially if you're going through some kind of home booking site. You'll get some discount for staying that longer period of time. You get those benefits you honestly get if you're doing a week or longer, or the month or longer. That's where you're going to see the breaks, but you can see a considerable break for the month long. Another way that you can really save a lot of money is by choosing house sitting over a paid accommodation. Now, the service that we go through, we'll have the link down below for them. We are very, very happy with them. You can browse their site for free, but if you do choose to sign up, we will also have a discount code down in the description as well for that. But it's really, house sitting is just a trade of services between a homeowner and a sitter.
Right.
So you're taking care of their house so they can go on vacation. You get a much nicer place to stay than you might have gotten from whatever other accommodation you were going to pay for.
Yeah, you might have a dog or a cat or something to take care of, but that's okay as well.
It's actually kind of nice. It's fun.
We're figuring if we could just do it 2 or 3 times a year, it would offset some of our other expenses. And to us, again, just doing it for 1 month would be a big deal to us.
Right. But we know people that this is the only way that they travel. They just arrange their house sits, up to a year in advance. There's not as many available in a year in advance, but you can certainly find them. But they are on the road, and that is pretty much all they do, and just kind of fill in the blanks with paid accommodation. So if you are really, because accommodations are your most expensive costs that you're going to have when you're traveling, and if you can cut out majority of your accommodation costs, that is just the way to do it.
Okay, now remember, you're not on vacation, you're living. So the difference between eating out and eating in, go buy your groceries, cook dinner at home the majority of the time, just like you would back home. You can save a lot of money there as well, unless you're in Thailand.
Yeah.
And then it might be different. But otherwise, try and cook your dinners at home.
Right. So then you're having to maybe pay that little bit of extra to get a place, an accommodation with a kitchen, but it's going to weigh out in the end to have the ability to go to the grocery store, spend less on those eating out costs. But if you do choose to eat out, the other suggestion we would make is don't go right down to the touristy area and get your dinners and your food. Go to the mom and pop places that are a little bit off the beaten path. The food is usually better, and it's usually quite a bit cheaper. So that would just kind of be a tip that we would give you there if you do decide to eat out.
That's a pro tip right there, Carrie. That's a good one.
Now also, when you are in a location for a long stretch of time, choose to use your feet and just go walking and use public transportation instead of using the paid services such as calling a taxi or renting a car. We walk all the time.
We walk everywhere. There are options other than taxis or renting a car. You can get the electric scooters that they have in just about every city in the world now. You can rent a bike. Those things are a hazard for me. I think I would probably have to wrap myself in bubble wrap to get on one of those scooters to get around. So I choose to walk. And you know what? It's a great way to stay in shape too.
Yeah, and we have used public transportation in a lot of the cities that we're in. A lot of them we don't use it just because we do walk so much. So, unless it's really way out of the way, we typically just kind of huff it and make our way there.
A good way to do the public transportation is wherever you're going, however long you're staying for, if you are going to be using public transportation, use it day one. Or maybe get there, take a nap, sleep it off day 2. But learn that public transportation right away, because I'll tell you, it's probably not as hard and as intimidating as you think it might be. And you'll be able to use it for the rest of the month.
Right.
We've waited before, I don't know if we're gonna be able to do it, and we wait 2 weeks, turns out to be really easy, and then we only use it for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's something that now we do now in places that we know we're gonna be using the transportation.
Right.
We just force ourselves to use it right away, and we're so happy we do, because it's
Right.
usually, you kind of work it up in your head, it's gonna be a hard system to figure out, and it's not. It's super
Bangkok
simple to
is a
figure
good
out.
example of that, yeah.
Super simple. The one area where we do spend a little bit of money though on this is that we have now decided on travel days. Those are the days that we get a taxi.
Yeah.
We have used public transportation to the airport, and unless it's super simple, so we have had some situations where it was just so easy to use and so just cut straight forward.
It made sense.
Yeah, it made sense, cost-wise especially. But that is one area where we do get a taxi. It's just easier. Taxi comes, gets us with our luggage. We're not trying to haul it onto a bus and then get to an airport and worry about that whole system. So that is one area where we do spend the money.
We've done that, and it's miserable. We were gonna walk one time from the bus station to our Airbnb, and we got lost, and it was on a hill, and we had cobblestone. And
We've done that a few times.
We've done that a few times, and we're done with that.
Yeah, we're done with it. Just get that taxi.
Get the taxi. Okay, budget-friendly activities. Now, you can't do it all. It's just as simple as that. At least we can't. There are about 3 things where we're currently at that we really want to do, but we have to pick and choose which ones we're going to do. So make sure you don't get carried away on all these extracurricular activities.
Yeah. Now, there's other ways to do it as well. So, there have been places that we've traveled to where we have taken a tour because it 100% just made sense.
Right.
A couple examples was through Tuscany, and another area was in Dublin to be able to get out to the Cliff of Moors and stuff. So those areas made sense. But say you're in a city, instead of paying for one of these tours that they have, you can also just kind of do your own do-it-yourself tour. Study kind of the area, put together some really top-rated restaurants or places that you want to try out, and go do those yourself. You don't necessarily have to pay the extra money for a tour.
Right, and there are free walking tours that you can find in most big cities as well. They'll just take you through the city and they'll explain it, kind of like the hop-on, hop-off bus, but you're on feet. Now there's also the hop-on, hop-off bus.
Yes.
Which can be expensive, but in some cases they're affordable.
And it also, in some cases, makes sense if you're in a place for a couple days. So I would say, and then also just looking for all of those community events, festivals, anything that might be going on in the area that you're going to be traveling to or that you're in. A lot of the time, those are free to go to. And so we have found that you're able to really see a city, see a lot of the city and majority of what we want to see, and not have to spend a ton of money on entrance fees. And most importantly is you need to make sure that you're setting that budget and you're keeping on track. You want to just continue to monitor this on a regular basis. Don't let 2 months go by before you go, wait, how much did we spend in this last location we were in, or the last 2 locations? Really just make sure you're staying on top of it. It's a lot easier to make those adjustments when you start to see you're veering a little bit off track than to wait until you're way off track to try and make up the difference.
Yeah, it can definitely sneak up on you. And I'll tell you what, Carrie keeps me on track for the most part. I'm pretty good though. I'm pretty frugal. So if you just keep a mindset where you're thinking about it beforehand, you may not get carried away. Now, we did a video on this. Carrie's a spreadsheet girl. She's got everything on a spreadsheet. I'm more of a pencil and paper guy myself. So there's kind of a debate on which is better. It doesn't matter. Make sure you do one of the two and track your expenses.
Yeah, and when we say track them, really you want to track everything, because especially when you're traveling, it's all those little things that really can add up. If you're stopping and grabbing the coffee, grabbing a beer, grabbing food out, stopping in the grocery store, at the end of the day, it didn't seem like we did a whole lot, and then I put it all together, and it can become this number that's like, wow, why did... we maybe should have been a little more mindful or watchful of that. So by knowing what we spent, then maybe the next day we aren't going to go for the beer and the coffee and everything. Yeah. Yep. So you can just keep it in check. So, all right. Well, we hope that this will just kind of help you to, understand
how we're doing this.
Right. Understand how we're doing it, how we're able to continue to do this, because it is a big question that a lot of people have. It's an absolutely doable thing for, honestly, a lot of people that probably never saw it as an option in their life.
Right. If we can do it, so can you.
All right. We hope you enjoyed this. We'll catch you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.